What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Check Swing Podcast with myself and the brains behind the operation, Coach Miguel Sander. And come to you today in a little bit of a different way. If you haven't heard about the happenings in Baltimore, the Francis Scott Key Bridge, early this morning, there was a cargo ship that crashed into the bridge, one of the support holds on the bridge, and completely took the bridge out. Coach Miguel has a lot more, Coach Shannon has a lot more information and knowledge about the situation. So I'll let him take the floor for those that may not have heard about it because I'm not completely up to date on it myself. I'm going to let him take the floor and talk about what he knows up to this point.
Well, good evening, everyone. Yeah, definitely a solemn experience, and I woke up to the announcement via alert that the Scott Key Bridge was gone. And the first thing when you hear something like that is like, wait a minute, it's gone. Like, how does it just go? But long story short, as of 8:02 p.m. tonight, there were two construction workers that were on the bridge during the collapse that actually did manage to survive. One was they both were rescued. One was listed in serious condition, and then was later released from the trauma center in Baltimore, which is across the street from my office. And there are still six that are missing, and as of I believe the last hour, they are now presumed dead. Um, just because of being in the water for longer than an hour in below 70 degrees is usually the onset of hypothermia, and now we're talking about almost 20 some hours since the event has occurred. So valiant effort between the city, the state, the FBI using sonar technology, the divers going in, had a couple things going against them. The current of the water was actually going in the different direction that was making it more challenging. The bridge is gone, and as I was going to work, the news was just kind of trickling out. Like people were just kind of hearing about it, and they were just kind of in shock. The shining light in all this, if there is one, was that there was after investigation there was a mayday call that was made roughly about 2 or 3 minutes before the bridge hit. I'm sorry, the boat hit the bridge, which managed to signal the people on the grounds to stop traffic in both directions. So if you ever watch the video, you'll see that all of a sudden there's no traffic in any direction. But the unfortunate thing is, there were 8 contractors total working on the bridge during that time, and you actually see the flashing lights on that bridge. And I've been on that bridge before, and usually those are the caution lights, switch lanes and stuff like this lane is closed. And you saw that, and you saw it go down with the bridge. And it's when you really understand the magnitude of the event, and then you rewatch it, and it's like, wow, you see, possible death, now possibly confirmed deaths. But prior to that, I mean, we were counting 2 or 3 cars in every direction, so for those for the captain or the pilots as they call them, to be able to call the mayday and to save many more lives, is kind of the silver lining to all this. But I think I was reading a story from one of the family members who was waiting to hear about whether his father had survived, and his name happened to be Miguel. But how he was working that bridge about 2 weeks ago, and that person that was in the construction zone last night was like his work dad, he said, and like a mentor to him. So he was very overwhelmed, and that was about 6 hours ago, and I read the stories to find out that you know it's possibly confirmed that he's perished is kind of heartbreaking. But And needless to say, today was supposed to be a big pep rally for the Orioles. It was a open workout fan rally for the start of the season, which is Thursday. So out of respect to everything that was going on, that all that was canceled today. So prayers to the family, to the city of Baltimore, the governor Westmore. I always call him Mr. Positive because he always has that kind of go lucky, kind of go get 'em fighter style. Which I know it was kind of hard today because of the circumstance. But he's like, we're gonna be a better Maryland and Baltimore strong. So that's why I'm wearing the Orioles hat today, just out of respect for where I'm at now. So
Yeah, and it hits a lot closer to home for you because you're there. I've driven over that bridge many a times, but you're there. Like you live the city, and I know people that are from there. I know people that are still there, and it's just it's tragic to see something like that. It reminds me of the bridge in Minnesota,
mm,
Minneapolis. You remember that about
yeah,
10 or so years ago? Probably more than that. Yeah, probably about 15 years ago or so.
yeah,
Um, and that one went down without warning. Like that one just went down, and it was just that was the first time in my life where I felt like I saw death. You know what I mean? And that from a distance, from a TV's type of distance.
right.
Um,
And I always joke about this with some of my friends, but some of them I have they're deathly afraid of bridges for that very reason. So it's like, okay, ultimate fear has now been activated. You know what I mean? Um,
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, it's
And justifiably so. Like the fear that they have, they just saw. They just saw it. So
mhm.
it's like seeing somebody get bit by a snake and you're scared of snakes yourself. That's why. Well, prayers go out to all people affected by this heartbreaking tragedy in Baltimore. Shout out to everybody I know from Baltimore. Stay strong, keep your heads up. I hope all of you that are there that I know, I pray that you were not affected, but I also pray that if you were affected, that you are able to stay strong in this situation. But we do have some things that we're going to talk about today from the sports world. This is the Check Swing Podcast. I am Coach Justin. That is Coach Santa. And we are here to put on a show. If you have any opinions, any thoughts, any of the things that we have to say today, keep them to yourself. No, I'm just joking. Call us up, 669-275-0548. The number is right there underneath Coach Santa. If you want to see it, if you need to see it, it's Biggest Day. If you can't see it, it's 669-275-0548. And got a lot of things that we want to say. Don't text me and call me later like, I didn't like what Miguel said. What are you talking about? You don't know what you hit us up during the show.
And that goes out to the Cowboy lover, Yankee lover, Laker lover, basically any team that wins a championship lover. He knows who he is.
Yeesh. Lakers, Cowboys. Well, we was teenagers last time the Cowboys won the championship.
Enough said. And VCRs, yeah, VHS tapes cost $25.
It's been a little bit since the Yankees won too. It was 2009, year after the Phillies won.
Yeah.
It's been a while since the Phillies too, but the Eagles won the championship in 2017. Anyway, so since the last time we spoke, there has been a big hubbub in the baseball world. Right? This happened after the last time we spoke, right, Miguel?
Yep.
So if you are in the sports world and you enjoy sports and you consume sports, you already have heard about this. But you haven't heard us talk about it. That's what we're going to do right now. Talking about Mr. Shohei Ohtani, Mr. DraftKings himself. Or, I shouldn't say that, right? I shouldn't say that. Mr. MG. Nah, I shouldn't say that. Probably not him, right?
Probably not.
But Shohei Ohtani allegedly had over $4 million stolen from him by his interpreter. Miguel, you talk about it because I feel like when I talk about it, I'm not going to be taken seriously because I put a lot of snarkiness behind it.
And I'm better. Jesus Christ.
Probably.
All right, I'll try to give the best unsnarky comment I can. So allegedly, okay, Ohtani's interpreter. Okay, so let's back up. Ohtani made a payout allegedly to his interpreter to cover an alleged $4.8 million gambling debt because apparently his interpreter is a degenerate gambler and couldn't pay off his debts. Now, of course, for those that don't know, gambling either for or against your team to win or lose is absolutely prohibited and is punishable by a lifetime ban in baseball. Asterisk see Pete Rose. Okay. So, over the last couple days before Ohtani had his press conference to address it with his new interpreter, who looks Mexican, by the way. Sorry, I can't help my snarkiness. But his interpreter actually held a meeting with the team prior to the first time it was announced, saying, "Hey, listen, there's going to be something that comes out. I'm going to take full responsibility for it, and it's my fault." So I guess kudos to him, whatever. But in the course of that time, we found out that he lied about working and being an interpreter for a Japanese pitcher for the Red Sox. Red Sox has no record of him being even signed to the organization. And he also lied about where he graduated, which has slipped my mind, unfortunately. But allegedly, he graduated from this school that the school publicly says we have no record of him even attending here.
I didn't hear about any of this.
Right. So, well, this is over the last 24 hours. So he was caught in those lies. So now everybody's like, well, what the hell? Who does the investigating? Who calls the references from the Angels? Like, what the hell were they doing? You know what I mean? So then he addressed it. Now it gets weird because Ohtani's people say that he did not pay the debt, that the interpreter actually stole the money from his accounts. And then Ohtani addressed it. And there's some people that are saying that the translation wasn't really like perfect per se. Whatever. But he basically said that the interpreter was a good friend of mine. He lied and he stole money from me. So it was almost like first he says that he gave it as a gift, sort of to clear his debt, and then he comes out in the news conference and say, "No, he stole from me, and he's no longer my interpreter." Thinking that'll kind of cool everything over.
I want to ask you a question. I don't know if you would know the answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you were talking about this interpreter basically lying about his credentials.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that person that got thrown out the government. I forgot his name, but he lied. He lied about his mom dying in 9/11. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and he's a strong black woman and all that other garbage. Yeah,
that type stuff. But it's interesting to be an interpreter. You have to have those credentials because what you said, you're like, who's doing the vetting for the Angels? I'm thinking like they was probably just like, oh, you speak Japanese, you speak English, okay, you got the job. Like I don't know, I don't know what it takes to be an interpreter. Like I didn't know you had to have special credentials for all that. I just figured if you spoke both languages, you could do it. That's interesting to me.
You know what that reminds me of? You remember when there was it was Nelson Mandela's funeral, and there was a guy that was doing sign language, and he really wasn't doing sign language. Everybody's like, "How did he get the press pass?"
That happened to something recently too. Like when
Yeah, I believe it.
COVID. When I forget, I don't know if it was. I think it might have been one of the sign language interpreters here in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, you know what? That actually gives me an idea. So one of my nieces' graduation is coming up, but they only allow like 3 tickets. I'm gonna go in as an interpreter. Damn.
I hope they're not watching.
Sometimes you don't think things through. You just go by the seat of your pants.
Okay.
No crimes are going to be committed. So, but the other thing is too is like everybody was like, okay, no big deal, you know, whatever. And the Major League Baseball is going to have an investigation, which basically is okay. How can we make Ohtani look good because he was just on the cover of MLB The Show last year, and he's the face of the baseball nation. Da 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 da. Da. Except now you got the FBI involved because now you're talking about money laundering and huh.
They don't care about nothing. They want to get their man.
Yes.
And the FBI don't care about that money. They don't care about baseball. They don't care about nothing. They want to get their man. Plain and simple. But yeah, it's. I would think the MLB would want Ohtani to come out of this scot clean because Ohtani is, like you said, he's the face of the league right now. He's the most dynamic baseball player we've seen in our lives. The last baseball player to be successful as a pitcher and as a everyday baseball player, Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw Babe Ruth play. I don't even know how much video there is of Babe Ruth playing.
You know, there was rumors that Babe Ruth was black,
I've heard those rumors.
and that was the main reason. I mean, never mind the fact that you know Babe Ruth was a hoe, but there was rumors that that was the reason why he never got a coaching. He was never given a managerial job because of that. And he was actually made fun of by other players because you know you look at his features, you know his lips and his nose, like he had you know very distinct features that they were pointing out in games and actually hurling racial epithets at him because of those features.
Wow.
So, but that was you know, but one other thing too in regards to Ohtani,
Babe Ruth
and
is
I
buried in Baltimore, right?
say again,
Babe Ruth is buried in Baltimore or from Baltimore.
he's from Baltimore. My office is actually a block and a half away from the Babe Ruth Museum, which is where he was born, and the bar that his dad owns while he was growing up, which is now I guess a modern day brothel. I don't know. It's called the Princess of the Goddesses. But I hear they have killer wings. But that was from my coworkers. But that you know establishment I say is where you know he learned how to live life and stuff like that. But his father actually owned that bar when it was a bar. So
Um, just out of curiosity, this Princess of the Goddesses, what street would that be on? Do you know?
you serious?
Yeah.
It's on Utah and Lombard.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, because there's a street. I'm trying to think. There's a street down there that had very nice clubs on there down there that I go to sometimes. Um,
The red light district.
I don't know. I'm not from there, so I don't know.
Okay.
It was Pennsylvania Avenue.
So there's Broadway, there is Pennsylvania Avenue. That's where Pennsylvania Avenue is where Moe's Seafood is, which I hear was great, but very, very overpriced. But that is considered East Canton.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So
Did you have any more you wanted to give us on Ohtani? Because
so the only other thing, which was kind of an interesting fact, and I didn't realize that so apparently like the idea of the interpreter taking the money without Ohtani's knowledge is there's people are surprised it hasn't happened more often because apparently the translator handles the financial transactions of those players, including banking, car payments, and they even carry the players' checkbooks with them in the clubhouse for like dues and stuff like that. So that's why, if they're gonna, pin the blame on him, and he's taking the blames to his credit. Apparently that's a common thing for interpreters, because I guess interpreters act as like handlers for these players since they don't know the English language. They know, so they handle everything just about. But now it's almost like the handlers need a handler now, because it's definitely going to change the landscape of how that interpreter job is going to move forward.
yeah, really. I mean, geez, if Ohtani is legitimately clean of all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
how can you trust another person? How can you trust another interpreter?
I don't know. There's only one other thing, and this actually came out from the Athletic, that the thing that this person can't, stop thinking about is how he gained access to his bank accounts. Which I gave you the example of how that could happen, but the only issue is that Ohtani and his team has not addressed it. So either they're trying to figure out a response, or this was oh darn, we better change pass. Where's Manfred at to change the storyline?
Yeah, silence is not golden when it comes to situations like this. Like you can say nothing and maybe nothing comes about, but people are going to talk, and you can just say, well, who cares what people say? I'm still
Right.
living life. I'm good. But if you come out later on and say something at this point,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to go well because nothing you can say is going to ease the tensions of what happened. You come out and
Right.
say, I allowed him access to my checking account to pay bills and things of that nature. I didn't know he took out $4 million to pay a debt.
Mm-hmm.
But he was my friend, and I probably would have helped him out if he had just asked for,
If he would have led with that, but he didn't. He said that was the second story. The first initial story was, yeah, I paid his debt. That was the original story, that I paid his debt. Then it was Lucy said, oh, well, it's a loan. He's going to pay me back. And then they're like, well, no, that's not true either. Then he comes out with this almost a week after all of the speculation.
Yeah,
Where there's smoke, there's fire, bro.
Different stories that you done told.
Right. And then I think I sent you something the other day where some no name was he posted a series of posts on Instagram saying that, oh yeah, on August 22nd, there was a bet placed on Ohtani to lose to like the Padres by 3.5 above, and the better won because he pitched like 5 innings and gave up like 6 runs, so he met the over. So there was like that conjecture, and everybody's like, number one, he didn't pitch that day. So, but it's like when this is what happens when you don't address certain things right away. You just let all the rumors kind of like come out, and then when you come out with a whole like alternative story, then it's like, again, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm hoping not. I mean, I'm wishing the best for the dude because he seems like, he's not part of like the Chinese connection from like the 70s or anything, but it's like when you leave stuff to assumption and conjecture, then this is what happens.
This reminds me of the situation that happened in the NFL that came out after the season was over, actually, about I forgot who the guy was. I forgot the name of the guy, but he supposedly was giving away the Jets game plan to the Eagles or something like. You remember that story? He's
Yeah,
supposedly.
that's slightly different. I thought you were talking about when the Calvin Ridley.
Hear me out. What I'm finding similar is that I don't know if that guy said anything right away either.
That was because nothing was said during the season at all.
Nothing was said during the season. I'm talking about after it came out in public. I don't remember a response from him. There might have been, but I don't remember a response from him. Whereas Ohtani responded right away, but then had 3 different responses. A response from him right away in that situation says, "All right, I'm going to tell you it's not true." Boom, boom, boom. If he waits to say something in that situation, you open the door for like what you just said. You open the door for people to say a whole bunch of different things that maybe eventually you have to try to clear up that you could avoid if you just said something immediately right away.
Right.
Good luck to Ohtani because FBI involved now, bro. Ain't looking all that great.
Not at all.
Excuse me while I take a sip.
Is that legal?
I felt my throat starting to get dry. Have any opinions on Ohtani, Shohei Ohtani, and his whole gambling situation or his money situation, whatever you want to call it? Hit us up 669-275-0548. Now, let's bring. What's so funny?
I'm thinking about did you see his press conference?
Who?
Ohtani's?
No.
Last thing I'll say about it, it didn't sound like he was speaking real Chinese or Japanese. It sounded like it was you or I making up fake Chinese because it just sounded like it was so fast and it's like I was like, that doesn't sound. It didn't sound real to me. I'm sorry. It didn't sound real to me.
I have to check it out. I'm sorry. I had a thought of. If you have someone speaking English and you have someone speaking Japanese, you had no. I guess it wouldn't because I guess it's different. I was going to say if you have a sign language interpreter, are they the same? But you have American Sign Language and you have other stuff. So I just answered my own question. It happens on this show, folks. It happens on the show. Sometimes I just think of some random stuff and I'm in left field and with my random stuff. It happens. Let's move on a little bit. Let's bring it back home a little bit closer to home or really at home. And Eagles have been very busy free agency wise. They've made some signings. They've offered for people to go ahead and look for trades and things of that nature. Of course, one of the biggest names out there is Haason Reddick. They offered him, supposedly he said he can look for a trade if he wants to. He said he doesn't want to be anywhere but Philadelphia, but we'll get to him in just a second. Miguel, how do you feel? I don't think we really spoke about it too much. How do you feel the Eagles have done so far in free agency?
I think they've done well. I'm glad that they addressed some things on defense. Although it looks like they may address linebacker. I know they got a linebacker, but I know they may address it in the draft. And love Howdy Death, but we all know that he's not the best drafter per se. His strength is the cap, figuring out how to pay people, how to keep them here. And he's made some good, in season and off season trades and free agent signings. That's where his strength is. I don't think I have a feeling they're not done yet. I know they're trying. I think the last I heard is, the defense coordinator wanted to get Simmons, the D-back from the Broncos, who would be, I think a good addition, although he's on the higher side of the 30s. But I think defense is a little different versus offense. I do like the moves that they made. I just don't. I think for me, if I had to choose between Reddick and Sweat, I would lean towards Reddick because I mean he's had you know 23 sacks in 2 years. Not to say that Sweat doesn't have the potential to be there, but he had a kind of an okay start last year and then kind of fizzled at the end. But I just think you got to give Haason his money.
Good team too.
Right. But I think Haason Reddick, like he's done over and above. I think he's outplayed his contract. I think if anybody needs to be paid, it's him. And I really think they're trying to, but I think they're respecting his wish to find a trade. Because what did they say? Like the longer time goes past and nothing happens, then it kind of works on the advantage of the team.
Yeah.
And they did extend because I think the deadline originally was the 15th, and now they extended it to April. So
He said he never actually asked for the trade.
right, I heard that as well. So it could be, and there's always rumors that the Eagles always plant stories like that. So we've heard this type of negotiation tactic, for years, between when we were about to lose Jeremiah Trotter the first time, B Dog, and all that other stuff. So I'm hoping that because there's been so much time, and they even extended the original deadline, that they're trying to figure out how to keep him. So I think because I'm just looking at like that rotation would be absolutely phenomenal. We would never have a defensive end that or a linebacker that would be tired. You know what I mean? And everybody is just you can do a lot of looks. You can have them switch sides. Like there's so many. You can be so flexible on defense and make so many moves that I think would help the team.
Be extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous on defense.
Yeah.
But the question remains: if you can't hold on to Haason Reddick, well, he's under contract for this year.
Right.
But if we do end up trading, if the Eagles end up trading Haason Reddick, what is fair to you? And you posed the question: a second round draft pick for Haason Reddick, is that fair? Agree or disagree? Interesting question. I'd like to hear your take on it because I'm on the fence. Like he's a first round talent, but you never get equal value in the trade.
Right.
Second round ain't bad at all. Second round ain't slouch to first. First is first though.
I would love to do a second round and another player if you added like a legitimate, either a player that's on the way up or because like you said, it's not if it's just a second round pick alone, I don't to me that's not enough. But I don't think anybody's going to give up a first round for him. I think that's out of the question just because of the way the league is that those picks are too precious. So I'm thinking a second. Now, my dream is to get a certain wide receiver who we could have gotten several times from Seattle, who happens to wear the number 14. Now, if you trade for him and a second round pick, I think that would be a fair deal. I keep wanting to call him.
I'm not huffing because I don't think it would be I'm huffing because I would definitely take that because that would be in my opinion, you're saying Metcalf in a second round for Haason Reddick.
Sounds fair to me. I mean, it was approved. It was approved the last 3 years in Madden. Damn it.
And I don't know Seattle. I don't know Seattle's team, but if I'm Seattle, there's no way I'm taking that deal. It's not who am I throwing the ball to. Like I said, I don't know their team. I don't know their number 2 receiver. I don't know if he's a valuable number 2 receiver that should be enough. Don't know.
But when you look at the league the last few years, like think about AJ Brown. What did we give up for him when DeAndre Hopkins was traded? Who did
Yeah.
they get for him? You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not saying I wouldn't do the deal.
right.
I'd absolutely do that deal.
Hmm.
I'm just saying Seattle ain't doing that deal.
But why? But again, and I hear what you're saying. But again, it seems like a deal that has been done quite a bit by other teams around the league.
Well, you brought up Hopkins, right? And that was
Mhm.
talking about the Dallas. I'm not Dallas.
Texans,
The Houston, the Houston
and
Texans.
yeah,
To the Cardinals.
right.
Yeah, the Texans stunk and the Cardinals stunk.
And the coach wound up getting fired for making that deal because he traded all of his wide receivers away because he's a Patriot.
And with the Eagles and the Seahawks, you're talking about 2 playoff teams.
True.
See, I don't think Seahawks made it this year, but did they make it this year?
I think they did, but they
Yeah,
might have
they
been
made it the year before.
year before.
So, but they're a perennial playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
A second round, I guess I would have to agree with you. A second round for Haason Reddick is probably fair, but I would want more because I feel Haason Reddick is valuable, and I feel like there were a lot of times that the Eagles did not utilize him correctly. Haason Reddick should not be dropping back into coverage. Haason Reddick is a get after the quarterback type of player. He needs to be getting after the quarterback.
And that goes back to my primary beef with system coaches. You know what I mean? Like look at Chip Kelly. He had a system, and people had to fit in his system, not the other way around. Like, how do you have 4 potential Hall of Fame talents, and you throw everything away for a system? You got to coach to the player, not have the players learn your system. I'm sorry, I just don't think it works.
To this day, I still get mad about that. But I also have to always remind myself that we don't win the Super Bowl in 2017 if that doesn't happen.
True, but I always go back to how many Super Bowls could we have won?
Well, we should have won the Super Bowl that one year that Vic was the starter. When we lost to the Packers in the playoffs.
Right.
Throwing the ball to I forgot his name. Riley Cooper. Threw the ball to Riley Cooper in the end zone and turnover or whatever happened in the end zone, and we lost the game. Anyway, don't want to go over that. But that team was dangerous. The defense was good. The offense was amazing. Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy, Michael Vick. You had Brent Selleck at the time, I believe. They had Brent Selleck at the time. Man, they had a great offensive line. Let's not, because I'm going to get mad. I'm going to get mad. That's just a team you want to have in Madden. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, it is. I'm not gonna lie about that.
It is, absolutely is. Haason Reddick, a second round. I guess the second round would be a fair deal, but I would want more.
Yeah, I think okay, maybe not DK Metcalf, but second round and like a veteran that fills a gap on the team. You know what I mean? But maybe an offensive lineman, because I mean I know that Jurgens has been deemed the heir apparent to Kelsey, but I think then we're gonna need Jurgens replacement because he's moving from guard to center, so you might need a little veteran guard or something. So I think second round draft pick alone, no. I think you need to maybe a second and a fifth, or a second and a high quality starter that fills a need.
669-275-0548. That's the number to call if you have any opinions on what we're saying. If you don't like what we're saying, if you do like what we're saying, hit us up. Let us know. And make sure you, if you are checking us out on the YouTube channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you follow the Check Swing Podcast on Instagram and Twitter and all that good stuff. Here is the next question I have, or that Miguel has, excuse me. Wide receiver, and this is an easy one for me. Wide receiver Devonte Smith is entering the final year of his rookie contract this season. Has Smith proven enough to earn a new contract? In my eyes, in my opinion, absolutely. And I don't even realize, maybe Miguel, maybe you have a difference of opinion. I don't know why this is a question. Honestly, I don't.
For me, his size is still a little. I think he's outplayed the whole criticism about his size, so I'll give that to him. But he's the type of player that, like, he's not. I don't think he could be. I think he's a great compliment to AJ Brown, and AJ Brown's a compliment to him. But I think if you lose one, you lose the other. So, like, for instance, if he's injured, and I think this happened, I think Devonte may have missed a game or two, and it affected AJ Brown, because now it's easy to double up on AJ Brown than who you have, Quez Watkins,
especially when you're running a cookie cutter offense,
right? But now you add Saquon into the mix, then him being a number one may be a viable thing. I just always worry about, like, the size, because I think about Deshaun Jackson in his career. Can he go deep? He was one of the best deep ball threats ever. But when he came back the second or third time, every time it was a short route, he was injured for a week or two. Then I think he tore his stomach muscle and all that other stuff. But but you got to worry about durability for a player that size. That's my only concern.
It's only been 2 years, but I feel like Devonte Smith has not been injury prone at all. I mean, he's had, he had his nicks and dings this past season, but he hasn't really missed a whole lot of time. But being, comparative to his size, where you say Deshaun Jackson. So I'll tell you what, man, when Deshaun Jackson, I think he went over the middle. I think it was against Atlanta.
Yeah.
And the dude lit him up something vicious. I thought Deshaun Jackson's career was over, honestly.
Yeah, I thought he died.
I thought his career was over after that hit. But he was able to come back. I ain't gonna say he got right back up. He was able to come back later on that season. But he definitely got his bell rung. We haven't really seen that happen to Devonte Smith so far. Knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen. But we also, to me, it feels like we see him going across the middle more than we saw Deshaun Jackson doing it. And that might be by design. Andy kept Deshaun from going over the middle, but it seems like there's more risk being taken with Devonte Smith than Deshaun Jackson.
Well, but he also is able to take those risks because of the rule changes, and then you have the new rule today where you can't do the hip tackle or the drop hip tackle anymore. So it's gonna.
What is it?
So there was I forget how can I explain it. When you
guy around, you sling them down, and their head ends up bouncing on it.
No, you sling them around, but you kind of like drag, like you do you have him, but then you like drop your hip and drag his body down. So I can't remember the player that got injured, but he got his ACL torn or whatever, and they were talking about outlawing that type of tackle. Let me see what the actual hip tackle NFL ban drop tackle.
I'll have to have to check it out. We're heading towards flag football, and that's no shot at flag football, because I've watched flag football games and actually very much enjoyed them.
And it's going to be in the Olympics.
And it's going to be in the Olympics. But when you talk about NFL football, pads, helmets, hits, and now you're saying like this tackle is illegal. The horse collar is illegal. Mind you, the horse collar didn't become illegal until Terrell Owens got his knee snapped. Roy Williams was doing many horse collar tackles before Terrell Owens got his knee snapped.
Mhm.
The hit on the quarterback around the knee, below the knee, wasn't illegal until Tom Brady got his knee snapped. There are many quarterbacks that got their knee snapped. Didn't Randy get his knee snapped?
Bryce Paul, yep.
Many quarterbacks got their knee snapped. Now you're changing the way people tackle, and credit to the NFL, they try to get to some of these neighborhood football leagues and have their camps and teaching kids as well as coaches how to tackle correctly as far as how the rules are changing
Mhm.
to prevent injuries and things like that. But now you taking away a couple ways of tackling somebody, and you're probably going to see more broken tackles, which NFL probably doesn't mind because broken tackles are kind of exciting unless they're happening to your team.
Well, don't get it twisted. It comes down to money, but it doesn't come down to money because there was a stat that the NFL dropped in scoring. It was, I think, 3.5 points less scoring than there was the previous year. They don't
This
want less. Yeah, this last season, they don't want less scoring. They want more scoring because more scoring causes the gamblers to bet more. Plain and simple.
all down to money at the end of the day. More scoring means more eyeballs. More eyeballs means more advertisements. More advertisements mean more dollars in the NFL's pockets.
Right. And they also agreed today on the new kickoff changes.
So are they going with the XFL kickoffs?
Yes. So it's if you kick it into the end zone and it's a touchback, they start on the 35-yard line. But the offense is lined up on, I think, the 20. And then the kicking team is lined up on like the 30. And then the kicker by himself is, wherever he's at. And he has to kick it not in the end zone, but it forces the run back. But it has everybody kind of close together, so you don't have like the suicide guys, running full speed and what do they call them, the wedge blockers, which they outlawed years ago. So it's supposed to cause a little bit less injury, but cause more excitement because now you have the kickoff return back.
I am glad to have the kickoff return back. That was one of my more enjoyable parts of the game. Growing up, I always wanted to be a kick returner. I enjoy watching the kick returner, the Deion Sanders of the world, the James Jets of the world, the what was my man's name in Kansas City? Running back, he also returned kicks. Not Priest Law, before Priest Law was there.
Hall, Dante Hall.
Dante Hall, thank you, Dante Hall, the human joystick. Even my man for the Bears that just went to Hall of Fame recently.
Oh,
I can't think of his name.
Devin Hester.
Devin Hester. I always enjoyed the kickoff returns and things like that. So I'm glad to see it come back. It's coming back in a different way, so we'll see. But it belongs, and I'm glad that they're bringing it back. I'm glad that they're testing this out. I think like it might work, right? But I think they, instead of agreeing to it now, I think they should have tested it out in the preseason and then agreed to it or not that week leading into the. I know it is. If they don't agree to it, then it's back to the old ways. But people already know how to do that. So play with it through the preseason, agree or disagree on it, and then offer it or don't offer it, and
They don't have to. They don't have to do that because that's the XFL and the USFL's for.
yeah, but we want to see the NFL guys do it. So back to Devonte Smith. Has he earned a new contract to you?
Yeah, I mean he's still young enough. I think it's warranted. I'd probably do like a team friendly deal though. Like, I'd try to I'd try to do a little, you know,
Somebody's gonna
da-
pay him.
yeah.
Gonna
I
get
would
paid.
definitely do that. I would definitely do a dance with the numbers, but just to protect myself in case there is an injury. But I mean, NFL contracts are pretty much they're fake after 4 years in. So
Now you wanted this. Tell me what you wanted to talk about here. Oh, is that one that you
no,
want?
no, no, it was this one. No, just the fact that in spite of you know all of the things that we say about the Eagles, and they're always in the race to win. And I don't know how he does it. How he does it, however you want to say it. But to be able to keep it at almost like you're almost at the bottom third in payroll. Um,
Offensive pay. Yeah.
Offensive payroll, right? So it's just amazing that
$1,000 quarterback. And I forgot how much AJ Brown is making, but how he knows how to work them numbers, man.
Mhm. Well, apparently the secret is between converting the actual salary year into a um bonus, because apparently the bonus counts less against your cap than an actual salary, and then he just pushes the money forward. So they always say he kicks the can down the road and then comes back to it later. And by that time, you pretty much know, okay, well, he's gonna only give me like another season, so now's the time to trade him or cut him or whatever. So
I'm looking at this list and I'm finding it very interesting because the Chiefs, defending back-to-back Super Bowl champions, are the fourth on this list. They recently, a couple years ago, got rid of what's the wide receiver's name there? Oh, gone it. The Cheetah, not Cheater.
yeah,
The,
yeah, yeah,
can't think of his name, but you know what I'm talking about.
yeah. He's on
Ex-player.
the Dolphins now. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Plays for the Dolphins. You got the Chiefs at number 4. You got the Broncos, who are Giants, who were trash. Cardinals were boogers. Falcons were boogers. Niners were good. Colts were Panthers were trash. Saints were not even. Texans were decent. They were a playoff team. Jaguars are decent. Um, I'm probably surprised that their payroll isn't higher, but they got a lot of youth. Bengals, surprised that they're not higher, but they also have a lot of youth. The Lions are doing it on defense. They're doing it on defense. The Dolphins, they're middle of the pack, just under the center point line. I kind of thought their payroll would be a little bit higher. The Raiders, Vikings, man. Bills, Bills good. Seahawks, who we were just talking about earlier. Interesting that they have a higher payroll on offense than the Eagles do. Because I couldn't name a third person on their offense outside of
Right.
G and DK Metcalf. Couldn't name it. Ravens, I thought theirs would be higher. Bears, trash. Jets, boogers. Buccaneers, playoff team, but boogers. Patriots, boogers. Commanders, trash. Titans, blah. Chargers, boogers. So it's amazing that the Eagles are able to have the offense that they have. Let's say the first 10 games of the year, and be it in the bottom third of the league in payroll for offense. I think that's kudos, Howie. Kudos.
There you go.
Can't even trip. This last one put in there for fun, right? Something a little
Yeah,
fun.
just a little fun.
Something a little funny here. I like this one. Talking about Nick Saban, who probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, college football coach of all time. Won national championships with Alabama and LSU. Had a stint in the NFL with the Dolphins. Didn't go well.
Boogers.
Hot boogers. Um, And this statement from his wife, you found it, Miguel. I'll let you go ahead and read it if you want.
No, he's actually texting and reading his own emails, and he sent his first ever email. So, on behalf of the tech savvy world, we are all proud of Nick Saban.
I find that interesting that he has just sent his first email now. You work on a college campus,
Dude.
and you have never sent an email until now.
So this goes back to when I was studying at Drexel, and we were looking. We had a whole semester looking at coaches' contracts. I mean, between having the Nike deal and being able to pick from your own Nike store whatever you want with an unlimited budget every single season, between having a university vehicle, between having not only a coaching staff but an administration staff to take care of all of your your accommodations, your travel to and from bowl games and stuff like that. The coaches don't even need to type anymore. They have somebody else typing on their behalf. So they're literally dictating to a person.
I kind of thought that's where you would go with it.
Yeah. So it's like
you go with it.
It's like you are. You know what's weird to me? I think I had to write legibly for the first time in like 13 years. Somebody I had to like sign something. He's like, make sure it's legible. I'm like, I froze because I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Because my wife says I write like a fourth grader with a doctorate, and I didn't know what she meant by that, but it kind of hurt. But yeah, it's like what's the word I'm looking for? We kind of take for granted some of the basic needs of our lives, that we, use every day, and I could see him like picking.
When you think about like, I don't know if kids are taught to write cursive anymore.
I'm hearing that there's been
name is something. When do you ever use cursive writing? Never.
And you don't even have to use it as far as a quote unquote signature anymore. They're just sign it. I mean, how many times have you like signed when you bought something and you're just like, right?
Yeah. It ain't like they're checking it.
Hello.
But still, it's 2024, and he just sending like you're just now sending your first email. I understand that he's a little older, he's old school. I find that hard to believe that he just sent his first email. I absolutely find that hard to believe. I really do. You can send an email on your phone by accident,
which is true.
I don't know. Well, congratulations, Coach Nick Saban. You sent your first email. Welcome to the 21st century. Welcome to 2024. I wonder what he uses. Is he use Gmail, AOL, Yahoo, Instaface? And what's the Apple one? Me? No. What's the Apple one? What's the Apple one?
Oh, yeah. The .me.
.me.
Okay. Oh, there's another gambling alert. Breaking news: Toronto Raptor center Devonte Porter is out of the lineup and a subject of an NBA investigation into irregularities on prop betting involving him, sources tell these writers from ESPN.
Yo, professional athletes. I understand. I'm not even gonna call it a need. I'm gonna understand. I understand the want to do some gambling. Understand even the want to gamble on yourself. Figure out a way to keep your name out of it. Not being stupid. Figure out a way to keep your name out of it. I'm sure there are plenty of professional athletes gambling on these games that do not have their names involved in it. I guarantee it. I guarantee that. You can't tell me there are, I don't know, 50,000 professional athletes. I don't know. You can't tell me all of them are not gambling. Come on, man. Come on, man. Figure it out, y'all. Especially you youngins. Because y'all youngins are the ones that are going to be doing the dumb stuff in a little bit. All right. We're going to get up out of here. I've run out of
Voice.
my throat's getting dry again. So, look, we're going to get up out of here. We appreciate y'all hanging with us here on the Check Swing podcast with myself and, of course, the starter show, Mr. Coach Santa, soon to be Dr. Santa, coming to a theater near you. And once again, we just want to send prayers out to the people of Baltimore going through the tragic situation that happened today with the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Prayers are with you. We hope you stay strong and need us, call us. Not gonna call us, but I wanted to put it out there for y'all. Maybe we'll get a call. Don't laugh at me, Miguel. We're gonna get out of here. We talk to y'all next time. Peace.